This lyric's born in the building with my man Adam Mansbach right here. Go the fuck to sleep, you know what I mean?
Ladies and gentlemen, even though it is Sunday night, I need you to make a lot of noise. Please welcome to the stage, Adam Mansbach.
Your daughter is 3.
My daughter's 3.
My son is 2. So, and you say that she was in a grade school in Philadelphia.
Yeah, she was at she's at a Waldorf school. Her mother is Swedish, so that provides the context for a lot of our child rearing.
Okay.
Which means things like Waldorf schools are important. You know, wooden toys. She doesn't watch TV. You know, like she doesn't eat sugar. You know, my daughter is deprived in a lot of ways, I guess. Do you feel differently about being a rapper now that you have, now that you're a kid? I mean, do you work differently? Do you think differently about what you put out in the world? Not that you were putting out some stuff and you embarrassed of, but how does it? I wonder. All my artist friends, I have these conversations with, like, what does fatherhood do to you as an artist?
Well, my street cred is basically shot. Sure. Like, I'll give you an example. Like, I came home from the airport yesterday, and we had gigs out of state, and I ran into a friend on the street when I was coming home, and he was like, "Hey man, you know, I got tickets to Questlove tonight. You know, he's DJing. We can get bottle service and VIP. You know, and I just got back from the dispensary. You know, and I was like, you know, I gotta be at the pumpkin patch tomorrow." It's like shit changes, you know. It just changes, you know.
I remember when my daughter was really little, you know, 6 months old or whatever, and I would take her out of the house in the morning, and we'd go and get coffee at Gorilla Cafe on Shattuck, you know, and walk in there. That's like a pretty cool spot. You kind of expect people in there to be cool.
Yeah.
But at 7:30 in the morning, nobody's really that cool. And like people would have these conversations with my 6-month-old daughter, who, I don't want to get too technical here on the parenting thing, but she was unable to speak. But they weren't addressing me. So, you know, like, "Oh, aren't you pretty? What's your name?" And I'm sitting there, I'm like, do I answer this? Like, you're not addressing me, you're bent over the stroller. You know, like, or must I reciprocate? Like, your child is average. We have to do this thing where we're falling over each other's kids, playground stuff. I don't understand a lot of it. You know? I think this is both the best and the worst of our generation, because there is, I think, a pervasive sense that we're waiting for the adults to show up. You know, like, where'd all the grown-ups go? But I think that speaks, and I don't think that's our fault entirely. I mean, if you trace the history politically of the hip-hop generation, you see a cohort that came up in a void, in an absence of leadership, of traditional political leadership, right? We grew up in a 1980s that was dominated by Reaganomics, crack, skyrocketing incarceration, and our leaders were a bunch of 22-year-olds. You know, we were looking at Chuck D, who was older than 22, and Ice Cube and KRS-ONE, guys who were passionate and articulate, but had no formal training as leaders.
When I was a teenager, I had a really hard time, you know, because there was really no precedent for rap music when it came. I mean, it was just it was totally new, you know, and I think I had a real hard time explaining it to my mother, you know, and she was like, "Well, why is everybody just bragging? Why is everybody just talking about themselves, you know?" And I think the thing that, just kind of speaking to your point about, you know, sort of that generation and perhaps void or absence of leadership, you know, was that the thing that I had to sort of interpret, that I had to tell her was, look, you know, in the 70s, you know, you had Jesse Jackson and James Brown that had songs called "I Am Somebody." You know, I mean, these were kind of self-affirming, you know, empowering songs, you know, but we didn't really have that. We had KRS-ONE saying, "I'm still #1. You know what I mean? So that was like our generations, I am somebody, you know. And I kind of had to tell her, I was like, look, you know, if you're in a situation where you're in a generation where nobody is speaking for you, for somebody to come out and say, I'm the best, it means a lot. You know, it really, it boosts the confidence of those of us who are not being spoken for, you know, regardless of, you know, what you look like, your complexion, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that was what was so amazing to me about growing up in that era with that music, you know. And I agree, somewhere along the line, it kind of evaporated, you know what I mean? And maybe it's because instead of us wanting to fight power, you know, like he said, we all of a sudden, on certain levels, we were the power. Get it go, get it go. Get it go. We just wrapped it up. We just chopped it up right here at the JCCSF.
We bodied that shit. JCC torn down, done. It's a wrap.
Smoke in the air, baby.
Fatherhood, hip hop, shit talking, profanity.
Major.
There was born.
Adam. Peace.
Talk to me. Ain't a damn thing about us that's commonplace. Don't let nobody put you in your proper place, cause your proper place is on top of things. Ain't no style.